It started as a dare. The kind of stupid dare that teenagers make when they think they're invincible. 3 friends from California had flown to London for spring break. Tyler was 17, loud, and always hungry for attention. His best friend Marcus was the one holding the camera. And then there was Jake, the youngest at 16, who just wanted to fit in. They stood outside Buckingham Palace on a sunny March afternoon. Tourists packed the square, snapping photos, buying souvenirs, watching the famous royal guards. The soldiers stood perfectly still in their bright red uniforms and tall black bearskin hats. Weapons at their sides, eyes forward, silent as statues. Tyler scrolled through his phone, showing Marcus a video. Dude, look at this. This guy got like 10 million views just messing with these guards. They can't even move, bro. They're literally just standing there. Jake shifted nervously. I don't know, man. Seems kind of disrespectful. Tyler rolled his eyes. It's not disrespectful. It's funny. They're paid to stand there and look serious. We're just having fun. Before we continue, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss wild stories like this one. Trust me, you'll want to see how this ends. Tyler walked closer to one of the guards. The soldier was young, maybe mid-20s, with a sharp jawline and ice blue eyes that stared straight ahead. His red uniform was spotless. His black boots shined like mirrors. He stood next to a black iron gate, rifle held firmly at his side. Watch this, Tyler whispered to his friends. He pulled out his phone and started recording a selfie video. He stood right next to the guard, making faces, waving his hands around the soldier's face. The guard didn't blink, didn't move, nothing. Tyler got bolder. He started making sounds, clicking his tongue, whistling, still nothing. The crowd began to notice. Some people laughed. Others looked uncomfortable. Yo, I bet he's ticklish, Tyler said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Jake's face went pale. Dude, don't. But Tyler was already reaching out. His fingers went straight for the guard's side, right above his belt. He tickled, hard. For 1 second, nothing happened. The guard's face remained stone. Then something shifted. The soldier's jaw clenched. His eyes, which had been staring at nothing, suddenly locked onto Tyler, and they were cold. Colder than anything Tyler had ever seen. Step back, the guard said. His voice was low, sharp, controlled. But there was something underneath it. Something dangerous? Tyler laughed nervously. Relax, man. It's just a joke. He reached out again. This time for the guard's shoulder. That's when everything went wrong. The guard moved. Fast. Faster than Tyler could process. One hand came up and grabbed Tyler's wrist like a vice. The grip was crushing. Tyler's smile disappeared instantly. You do not touch a queen's guard, the soldier said, his voice steady but filled with authority. You do not touch his uniform. You do not touch his weapon. And you sure as hell don't touch him. Tyler tried to pull away. He couldn't. The guard's grip was iron. Like, oh man, you're hurting me. Marcus had stopped filming. Jake took a step back. The crowd had gone completely silent. And then Tyler made his second mistake. He swung at the guard with his free hand. The punch never landed. The guard moved like he'd done this 1,000 times before. He twisted Tyler's arm, spun him around, and in less than 2 seconds had him face down on the cobblestone ground. Tyler's cheek pressed against the cold stone. The guard's knee was in his back. His arm was pinned at an angle that made him scream. Get off me, Tyler yelled. His voice cracked. You can't do this. But the guard wasn't alone anymore. 2 more guards had appeared from nowhere. They moved with the same precision, the same authority. One of them spoke into a radio. Security to Gate 4. Tourist assault on a guard. Police en route. Marcus stood frozen, camera still in his hand but pointing at the ground. Jake's eyes were wide with terror. This wasn't supposed to happen. They were just kids. Just having fun? Weren't they? Tyler struggled against the guard's grip. I'm 17. You can't arrest me. I want my mom. The guard didn't respond. He kept Tyler pinned until 2 police officers arrived. They were tall, serious, and completely unimpressed. One of them pulled out handcuffs. Wait, Tyler said, his voice desperate now. I didn't do anything. He grabbed me first. The officer looked at him coldly. You assaulted a military officer on duty? That's a crime. You're being detained. The handcuffs clicked around Tyler's wrists. He was pulled to his feet. His face was red, streaked with tears he was trying to hide. The confident, laughing teenager from 5 minutes ago was gone. In his place was a scared kid who'd just realized he'd made a terrible mistake. Marcus and Jake were questioned separately. An officer took Marcus's phone, reviewing the video footage. Marcus tried to explain, "We were just joking around, officer. We didn't mean any harm." The officer didn't look up from the phone. "You recorded your friend assaulting a royal guard. That makes you an accessory. You're both coming with us?" Jake started crying. "I didn't do anything. I told him not to. Please, I just want to go home." The officer's expression softened slightly. "You'll get a chance to explain at the station. But right now, all 3 of you are coming with us." They were loaded into separate police cars. Tyler sat in the back, staring at his reflection in the window. His wrist throbbed where the guard had grabbed him. His shoulder ached from being pinned. But worse than the physical pain was the fear spreading through his chest. What had he done? What would his parents say? Would he go to jail? In a foreign country? At the police station, they were separated into different rooms. Tyler sat alone in a cold gray interview room. No windows. Just a table, 2 chairs, and a camera in the corner. He'd seen rooms like this in movies, but sitting in one was different. It was real. It was terrifying. A detective entered. She was in her 40s, with short dark hair and eyes that had seen everything. She sat down across from him and opened a folder. Tyler James Morrison, 17 years old. From San Diego, California. Here on vacation with your friends. Tyler nodded, unable to speak. "Do you understand why you're here?" Tyler's voice came out small. I touched the guard, but I was just playing around." The detective leaned forward. "You assaulted a military officer. You touched his uniform, which is government property. And when he restrained you, you attempted to strike him. Those aren't jokes, Tyler. Those are crimes." Tyler's hand shook on the table. "I didn't mean to. I saw videos online. Other people did it, and nothing happened. Other people got lucky," the detective said. "You didn't, that guard you touched? His name is Officer Jameson. He's 26 years old. He served in Afghanistan. He's seen combat. And when you put your hands on him, his training kicked in. He neutralized a threat. That's what he's trained to do." Tyler felt sick. Is he going to press charges?" The detective closed the folder. "That's up to him. But the Crown Prosecution Service is already reviewing your case. You could face serious consequences. Fines, community service, possibly jail time. Jail." Tyler's voice broke. "I'm just a kid. You're old enough to know better," she said. "And in the UK, the law doesn't care about your age when it comes to assaulting a military officer." Tyler put his head in his hands. He thought about his mom, his dad, his little sister. They'd be so disappointed, so ashamed. "I want to apologize," he whispered. "To the guard. Can I do that?" The detective studied him for a long moment. "Maybe, but an apology doesn't erase what you did." She stood and walked to the door. Before leaving, she turned back. "You have a choice now, Tyler. You can learn from this. Or you can keep making excuses. But either way, there are consequences." The door closed, and Tyler was alone with his thoughts. Hours passed. Tyler had no idea how many. There was no clock in the room, no phone. Nothing but silence and the weight of his own thoughts. Finally, the door opened again. But this time, it wasn't the detective. It was his mother. Carol Morrison looked exactly how Tyler expected. Her eyes were red from crying. Her face was pale with worry and anger. She didn't hug him. She just sat down across from him and stared. "Mom, I don't." she said, her voice shaking. Don't say anything right now. I flew 8 hours because you thought it would be funny to assault a soldier. Do you have any idea what you've put us through? Tyler's throat tightened. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, Tyler. Her voice cracked. The detective told me what you did. She showed me the video. The whole world has seen it. It's all over social media. People are calling you names. They're sending threats to our house. Your father can barely look at his phone. Tyler had forgotten about the video. Marcus had been streaming it live. Of course, it was everywhere. His stomach turned. I didn't think that's the problem, his mother interrupted. You didn't think. You never think. You just do whatever gets you attention, no matter who it hurts.
Ow.
Tears streamed down Tyler's face. I know. I messed up. I messed up so bad. His mother's expression softened slightly, but the disappointment remained. The lawyer we hired is working on your case. They're trying to negotiate something. But Tyler, there's a real chance you could go to jail here, or be deported and banned from ever returning to the UK. The words hit him like a punch. Banned. Deported. This wasn't just a mistake he could forget about. This would follow him forever. Over the next few days, Tyler stayed with his mother in a small hotel near the station. He wasn't allowed to leave the country. He had to check in with police daily. Marcus and Jake had been released with warnings, but Tyler's case was different. He'd thrown the punch. He was the one facing serious charges. The lawyer explained his options. The best-case scenario is you plead guilty, show genuine remorse, and hope for leniency. Community service. A fine. But there's no guarantee. Tyler nodded numbly. He felt like he was living in a nightmare he couldn't wake up from. One afternoon, his mother came back to the hotel room with news. Officer Jameson agreed to meet with you. Tyler's head snapped up. The guard. She nodded. He's off duty tomorrow. He's willing to talk. But Tyler, this isn't a negotiation. This is your chance to face what you did. To apologize like a man, not a scared child. But Tyler barely slept that night. He kept replaying the moment in his head. The guard's face. The cold eyes. The iron grip. The way he'd been thrown to the ground like he weighed nothing. The next day, they met at a quiet cafe near Hyde Park. Officer Jameson was already there when they arrived. He wore civilian clothes, a simple gray sweater and jeans, but even out of uniform, he carried himself like a soldier. Straight back. Steady gaze. Presence. Tyler's mother stayed at a different table, giving them space. Tyler sat down across from the guard, his hands shaking. Thank you for meeting me, Tyler said quietly. Jameson nodded. I almost didn't. I don't blame you. Tyler took a breath. I'm sorry. For touching you. For disrespecting your job. For everything. I was stupid. I was trying to be cool. And I ended up being the worst version of myself. Jameson studied him for a long moment. Do you know what that uniform means to me? Tyler shook his head. I earned it, Jameson said. I trained for years. I served overseas. I watched friends die. That uniform isn't a costume. It's a symbol. Of duty, of honor, of sacrifice. And when you put your hands on it, like it was a joke, you disrespected every person who's ever worn it. Tyler's chest felt tight. I didn't understand that. I do now. Why should I believe you? Jameson asked. You're only sorry because you got caught. Because there are consequences. If I'd done nothing, you'd be laughing about it with your friends right now. Tyler wanted to argue, but he couldn't. Because Jameson was right. You're right, Tyler admitted. I can't change what I did. I can't take it back. But I want to do better. I want to be better. I don't know how. Jameson leaned back in his chair. You start by understanding why it was wrong. Really understanding it? Not just saying the words. How do I do that? For the first time, Jameson's expression softened slightly. You listen. You learn. You grow up. He reached into his bag and pulled out a book. It was worn with a cracked spine and dog-eared pages. This is about military history. About the men and women who serve. Read it. Not because I'm telling you to, but because you owe it to yourself to understand what you mocked. Tyler took the book carefully. I will, I promise. Jameson stood to leave, but before he walked away, he turned back. I'm not pressing charges. Tyler's eyes went wide. What? You're a kid who made a terrible choice, Jameson said. But I was a kid once, too. I made mistakes. Not like yours, but mistakes. Someone gave me a second chance. I'm giving you one. Don't waste it. And then he was gone. Tyler sat there, holding the book, tears running down his face. Not tears of relief, but tears of gratitude, shame, of determination to be worthy of that second chance. Tyler didn't waste the second chance. Over the next 2 weeks, while waiting for his case to be officially resolved, he read the book Jameson had given him, cover to cover. Some chapters he read twice. It told stories of soldiers who'd sacrificed everything, who'd stood guard in freezing winters and scorching summers, who'd protected people they'd never met. One story stuck with him. A royal guard named Thomas, who'd served for 6 years before being deployed to Afghanistan. He'd written letters home about duty, about pride, about standing for something bigger than himself. Thomas never came home. He died protecting his unit during an ambush. Tyler thought about that while sitting in his hotel room. He thought about how easily he'd dismissed the guards as just standing there. He hadn't seen the training, the sacrifice, the meaning behind the uniform. His mother noticed the change. You've been quiet, she said one evening. Tyler closed the book. I've been thinking about how wrong I was. Not just about what I did, but about ... everything. I thought getting views and likes mattered. That being funny online was important, but it's not. It's just noise. His mother sat beside him. You're growing up. I had to, Tyler said quietly. The hard way. When his court date finally arrived, Tyler stood before a judge with his lawyer beside him. The prosecution laid out the facts. The video was shown. Tyler watched himself on the screen, cocky, reckless, disrespectful. He barely recognized that person anymore. When it was his turn to speak, Tyler stood. His voice was steady. Your Honor, I can't defend what I did. It was wrong, disrespectful, dangerous. I came to London thinking I was just having fun. But I wasn't. I was being cruel. I disrespected Officer Jameson. I disrespected his uniform. And I disrespected everyone who's ever served. He paused, choosing his words carefully. I've spent the last few weeks learning about what that uniform really means. About the people who've worn it. About the sacrifices they've made. And I'm ashamed that I treated it like a joke. I'm ashamed that it took getting arrested to understand that. The judge listened without expression. What do you plan to do with this understanding? Tyler had prepared for this question. I want to educate others. Kids my age don't understand what I didn't understand. They see videos online of people messing with guards and they think it's harmless. I want to show them it's not. I want to use my platform, the same one I used to embarrass myself, to teach respect. The judge looked at him for a long moment. Then she glanced at the prosecution. Officer Jameson has declined to press charges and has provided a statement supporting leniency. Given the defendant's age, his genuine remorse, and his commitment to make amends, I'm sentencing him to 200 hours of community service and a fine of £5,000. Additionally, he will create educational content about respecting military personnel, which will be reviewed and approved before publication. Tyler nodded. Yes, Your Honor, thank you. The gavel came down. The case was closed. Tyler walked out of the courtroom a different person than he'd walked in. Over the next 3 months, Tyler worked harder than he ever had. He volunteered at veteran support organizations in London. He helped organize charity events. He listened to stories from soldiers and their families. He learned about PTSD, about the challenges of returning home, about the invisible wounds of service. And he created the video he'd promised. But it wasn't what anyone expected. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't edited for maximum views. It was simple, honest, raw. He stood in front of the camera at Buckingham Palace and told his story. Every embarrassing detail, the dare, the tickling, the arrest, the fear, the shame. And then he talked about what he'd learned. About Officer Jameson, about Thomas, about the weight of the uniform. I thought I was being funny, Tyler said to the camera. But I was being ignorant. Those guards aren't statues. They're not props for your TikTok. They're real people doing a real job that matters, and they deserve respect. Not because they'll hurt you if you don't give it, but because they've earned it. Talked about the book, about the stories, about the families who'd lost loved ones. If you're watching this and you're thinking about doing what I did, don't. Not because you'll get arrested, but because it's wrong, because there are real people behind those uniforms. People with families. People who've sacrificed more than you can imagine. The video ended with Tyler standing next to a memorial wall, reading names of fallen soldiers. His voice was quiet, respectful, changed. When the video was published, it didn't go viral immediately, but slowly it spread. Teachers shared it in classrooms. Veteran organizations posted it. Parents showed it to their teenagers. And people started commenting. This actually made me think. I didn't realize what those guards went through. Respected this kid for owning his mistake. Tyler read every comment, the good ones and the bad ones. Some people still hated him. Some people thought he was only apologizing to avoid jail. But many people recognized something genuine, something rare. A young person actually learning from their mistakes. Marcus reached out after seeing the video. Dude, I didn't know you went through all that. Tyler met him at a coffee shop back in San Diego. It felt strange being home, like he'd been gone for years instead of months. I should have stopped you, Marcus said. That day at the palace, I knew it was wrong. But I wanted the video to do well. Tyler shook his head. It's not your fault. I made the choice. I have to live with it. Do you regret going to London? Tyler thought about it. About Jameson. About his mother's tears. About the cold police station. About the book and the stories and the memorial wall. No, he said finally, I regret what I did. But I don't regret what I learned. Senior year started differently for Tyler. He wasn't the same kid who'd left for spring break. His friends noticed. His teachers noticed. Even his little sister noticed. You're boring now, she said one morning at breakfast. Tyler smiled. Yeah, maybe. But in a good way, she added. Like you actually listen when people talk now. He hadn't realized how much he'd changed until he went back to school. The hallways felt smaller. The drama felt pointless. The things that used to matter like follows, viral videos felt empty. Tyler started a club. It was called Respect and Responsibility. The name was terrible and only 4 people showed up to the first meeting. But Tyler didn't care. He showed them his video. He told them his story. He talked about what he'd learned. By the 3rd meeting, 12 people came. By the end of the semester, it was 30. They organized volunteer events. They visited veteran hospitals. They raised money for military families. Small things, but things that mattered. One day, Tyler got an email. It was from Officer Jameson. Tyler, I saw your video. I saw what you've been doing. I'm proud of you. That takes courage, not the fake courage of doing something stupid for attention, but real courage. The courage to admit you were wrong and actually change. Keep going. Jameson Tyler read it 5 times. Then he printed it and put it on his wall. It was better than any like or follow he'd ever gotten, but not everyone had forgiven him. The video of his arrest was still online. Sometimes people recognized him. In stores, at restaurants, on the street. Some would whisper. Others would point. A few would come up and say something. You're that kid who got arrested in London, Tyler would say. I am. Most of the time, people walked away. But sometimes, they'd ask questions. Did you really change? Or is that just for the cameras? Tyler never got defensive. I understand why you'd think that. All I can do is show you through my actions. Words are easy. Change is hard. One afternoon, a veteran approached him at the grocery store. The man was in his 60s, wearing a cap that said Navy vet. He looked at Tyler with hard eyes. "I know who you are," he said. Tyler braced himself. "Yes, sir. I saw what you did, and I saw your video. My grandson was about to do something similar. He saw those TikToks of kids messing with guards. Thought it was funny. But then I showed him your video. He changed his mind." Tyler didn't know what to say. The veteran extended his hand. "Thank you for owning it. For teaching these kids something their parents should have taught them." Tyler shook his hand, his throat tight with emotion. "Thank you, sir. That means a lot." Moments like that kept Tyler going. Because for every person who forgave him, there were 10 who didn't. And he had to accept that. Some bridges, once burned, couldn't be rebuilt. Some mistakes left permanent scars. His mother had been his biggest supporter through everything. One night, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, she spoke quietly. "I'm proud of you, Tyler." He looked at her, surprised. "Even after everything?" "Especially after everything," she said. "Anyone can do the right thing when it's easy. You did the right thing when it was hard. When people were watching, when it would have been easier to make excuses or give up. That's character." Tyler felt tears prick his eyes. "I put you through hell." "You did," she agreed. "But you came out the other side as someone I'm honored to call my son." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Tyler spoke. "I want to go back to London." His mother looked at him. "Why?" "To thank Officer Jameson in person." "To see the memorial again, too?" "I don't know. Close the loop, I guess." She smiled. "Then we'll go. Together this time." 6 months later, Tyler stood outside Buckingham Palace again. But everything was different. He wasn't there for attention or laughs. He was there to pay respects. He watched the changing of the guard with reverence. He kept his distance. He observed without interfering. Officer Jameson had agreed to meet him after his shift. They met at the same cafe where they'd first really talked. Jameson was in civilian clothes again, but Tyler could still see the soldier beneath. "You came back," Jameson said. "I had to," Tyler replied. "To thank you properly, face to face. You saved my life that day. Not just from legal trouble. You saved me from becoming someone I would have hated." Jameson nodded slowly. "You saved yourself. I just pointed you in the right direction." They talked for over an hour. About service. About mistakes. About growth. Jameson told Tyler about his own journey. About the things he'd struggled with after coming home from Afghanistan. About the nightmares. About learning to forgive himself for things he'd done in combat. "We all carry things," Jameson said. "The question is what we do with that weight. Do we let it crush us? Or do we use it to build something better?" Tyler thought about that. About the weight of his mistake. About how he'd carried it for months. But also about how it had shaped him. Made him think. Made him care. "I'm using it to build," Tyler said. Jameson smiled. "I can see that." Before they parted ways, Jameson gave Tyler something. It was a small pin. The crest of the Royal Guards. "This isn't something we give to just anyone," Jameson said, "but you've earned it. Not by wearing the uniform, but by understanding what it represents." Tyler held it carefully like it might break. "I'll treasure this." "I know you will," Jameson said. "Now go home. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep teaching people. Keep growing. That's how you honor the second chance you were given." They shook hands. And this time, it felt different. Not like a soldier and a kid, but like two men who understood each other, who respected each other. Tyler left London that week, but he took something with him. Not just the pin or the memories, but a clarity about who he wanted to be. A young man who'd made a terrible mistake and turned it into a mission. A mission to teach others what he'd learned the hard way. That respect isn't about fear, it's about honor. It's about recognizing the humanity and sacrifice in others. And it's about being worthy of the second chances we're given. 2 years passed. Tyler graduated high school with honors. Not because he was suddenly brilliant, but because he'd learned to focus, to care about things that mattered. He got accepted to several colleges, chose one with a strong veteran support program. His first semester, he joined the student veteran organization. Most members were older, people who'd served and were now getting their education. Tyler was the youngest by far. At first, they were skeptical. Who was this kid who'd never served? But Tyler didn't pretend to be something he wasn't. He told them his story, the whole embarrassing truth. And instead of judgment, he found understanding. "We've all done stupid things," one veteran named Carlos said. "The difference is you learned. Most kids your age, they'd still be making TikToks about it." Tyler became the organization's social media coordinator. He used his skills, the same ones he'd used to chase viral videos, to highlight veteran stories, to fundraise, to educate. Every post had purpose. Every video had meaning. One evening, Tyler got a message from a username he didn't recognize. "Hey, I'm Marcus's little brother. I'm 15. Some kids at school are planning to mess with guards when we visit DC next month. I showed them your video. Most of them stopped, but one kid says he's still going to do it. What should I tell him?" Tyler stared at the message for a long time. Then he typed, "Tell him about consequences. Real ones, not just legal. Tell him about the person behind the uniform, about what they've been through. And if he still doesn't listen, tell him about me. Tell him I thought I was invincible too, until I learned I wasn't," the kid responded. "Thanks. I will." Small moments like that reminded Tyler why he kept going, why he kept telling his story even when it was uncomfortable, even when people judged him. Because if even one person learned from his mistake, it was worth it. During his sophomore year, Tyler was invited to speak at a high school in Boston. The principal had seen his video and wanted him to talk to students about social media responsibility. Tyler almost said no. He still hated being reminded of that day. But his mother's words echoed in his head. Anyone can do the right thing when it's easy. He went to Boston. He stood in front of 300 teenagers and told his story. Every detail. He showed the video of his arrest. He showed himself screaming for his mom. He didn't hide anything. "That's who I was," he said. A kid who thought internet fame mattered more than basic human respect. A kid who learned the hard way that actions have consequences. "I can't change what I did, but I can make sure you don't repeat my mistakes." The auditorium was silent. Tyler could see faces in the crowd. Some kids looked bored. Others looked thoughtful. A few looked scared, like they'd been planning something similar. After the presentation, a girl approached him. She was maybe 15, with nervous eyes. "I have a question. Okay, do you ever forgive yourself?" The question hit Tyler harder than he expected. "Some days," he said honestly. "Other days I remember what I did and I feel sick. But I'm learning that forgiving yourself doesn't mean forgetting. It means accepting what happened and using it to be better." The girl nodded. "I did something bad last year. Everyone still talks about it. I don't know how to move on." Tyler sat down with her. They talked for 20 minutes. About mistakes. About growth. About how the hardest person to face is yourself. When she left, she looked lighter, like someone had given her permission to heal. That night, Tyler called Officer Jameson. They'd stayed in touch over the years, exchanging emails every few months. But this time, Tyler needed to hear his voice. "I spoke at a school today," Tyler said. "How did it go?" "Hard, but good. A girl asked me if I'd forgiven myself." There was silence on the other end. Then Jameson spoke. "Have you?" Tyler thought about it. Really thought about it. "I'm trying." "That's all any of us can do," Jameson said. "Keep trying. Keep growing. The fact that you're even asking that question means you're on the right path." They talked for an hour. About life. About change. About the weight of the past and the hope of the future. When they hung up, Tyler felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not complete peace, but enough. By his junior year of college, Tyler's educational videos had reached over 5 million people. Schools used them in curricula. Veteran organizations shared them. Parents showed them to their kids. The comments section was full of stories.
My son was going to do this.
Your video stopped him. I'm a veteran, and this made me emotional. Thank you. I was that disrespectful kid once. Now, I volunteer at the VA hospital because of you.
Tyler.
Read every comment. The good and the bad. Some still called him names. Still said he was only sorry because he got caught. And maybe they were right, partially. But that didn't change the fact that he'd changed. One spring morning, Tyler received an email that made him stop breathing. The subject line read, Royal Guard Ceremony Invitation. He opened it with shaking hands. It was from the British Ministry of Defense. They were hosting a ceremony honoring Officer Jameson, who was retiring after 15 years of service, and they were inviting Tyler to attend as a special guest. Your story of redemption and education, the email read, exemplifies the values we hope to instill in future generations. Officer Jameson specifically requested your presence. Tyler booked a flight that day. The ceremony was held at Wellington Barracks, where the Royal Guards trained and lived. Tyler arrived early, wearing a suit his mother had insisted on buying him. He felt out of place among the military personnel and dignitaries. But when Jameson saw him, the soldier's face broke into a genuine smile. You came, Jameson said. I wouldn't miss it, Tyler replied. They stood together watching the ceremony preparations. Young guards in perfect formation. Officers giving commands. The precision. The discipline. The pride. Do you ever regret giving me that second chance? Tyler asked quietly. Jameson looked at him. Not once. You've done more good with it than I could have imagined. You turned your worst moment into a teaching moment for millions. That takes courage. The ceremony began. Speeches were made about Jameson's service, his time in Afghanistan, his years protecting the palace, his dedication to duty. When it was Jameson's turn to speak, he stepped to the podium and looked out at the assembled crowd. I've spent 15 years as a Royal Guard, he began. I've stood in rain and snow. I've faced mockery and disrespect. I've protected something bigger than myself. But one of the most important things I've done was give a second chance to a young man who made a terrible mistake. He looked directly at Tyler. Tyler Morrison taught me something I thought I already knew. That honor isn't just about tradition or duty. It's about recognizing potential for change in others. He took his worst moment and turned it into education for millions. He's prevented countless others from making his mistake. That's service too. Just a different kind. Tyler's eyes burned with tears. He hadn't expected this. Hadn't expected to be acknowledged in front of generals and officials and lifelong soldiers. After the ceremony, people approached Tyler. Veterans. Active duty soldiers. Even a general who shook his hand and said, You've done good work, son. Keep it up. But the moment Tyler would remember most came at the end. A young Royal Guard, maybe 22 years old, walked up to him hesitantly. Mr. Morrison. Just Tyler. The guard nodded. I watched your video during my training. It's part of our orientation now. Teaching us how to handle situations like that? You've probably saved me from having to deal with something similar. Tyler shook his head. You're the ones doing the real work. I just made a mistake and tried to learn from it. That's more than most people do, the guard said. Thank you. As Tyler flew back to America that night, he stared out the airplane window at the darkness below. He thought about the scared 17-year-old who'd been handcuffed on cold cobblestones. The kid who'd screamed for his mom. The kid who'd thought respect was something you could mock. That kid was gone. In his place was someone who understood that respect was earned through sacrifice. That honor meant standing for something bigger than yourself. That redemption wasn't given, it was built brick by brick, through consistent action and genuine change. Tyler graduated college with a degree in communications and nonprofit management. He started an organization called Second Chance Education, dedicated to teaching young people about respect, consequences, and redemption. Schools across the country invited him to speak. His videos reached tens of millions. But the moment that mattered most came on a random Tuesday afternoon. Tyler was volunteering at a veterans hospital when an elderly man called him over. You're that boy from the video, the man said. His voice was weak, his hands trembling with age. Yes, sir. My grandson showed me. He was planning to do something similar. Your story stopped him, made him think. The man's eyes filled with tears. I'm a veteran. Korean War. Seeing young people mock military service, it hurt, but seeing you change. Seeing you teach others, that healed something in me I didn't know was broken. The old man reached out and squeezed Tyler's hand. Thank you for learning. Thank you for growing. Thank you for honoring the uniform, even if you never wore it. Tyler sat with him for an hour, listening to his stories. About war. About coming home. About the weight of service. When the old man finally fell asleep, Tyler stood and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting. Golden light painted the sky, and Tyler thought about how far he'd come. From a stupid kid chasing internet fame to a man trying to make the world slightly better than he'd found it. His phone buzzed. A message from Officer Jameson. Saw your latest video. You're changing lives, Tyler. Keep going. Tyler smiled and typed back. Thanks to you. For seeing who I could be, not just who I was. The response came quickly. You did the work. I just pointed the way. Proud of you, mate. Tyler put his phone away and took a deep breath. The past would always be there. The video would never disappear. People would always remember his mistake. But they'd also remember what he did after. How he changed. How he grew. How he turned his worst moment into something meaningful. And that, Tyler realized, was what redemption really meant. Not erasing the past, but building a future worthy of the second chance you were given. He walked out of the hospital into the fading sunlight, ready to keep building. One day at a time. One conversation at a time. One life changed at a time. Because that's what honor demanded. Not perfection, but persistent, genuine effort to be better than you were yesterday. And Tyler Morrison, the kid who once tried to tickle a royal guard, was finally becoming the man he was always meant to be.